We are the change makers, the dream shakers, turning the dark into something greater. Every act of good, every step we take, together we rise for the future.
Hello and welcome again to another episode of The Connection Currency. I'm always excited for everybody that comes here, and I'm again excited for somebody who I've watched their journey, and it's been wonderful for over a number of years. So when on The Connection Currency, I just need to give some triggers. We're all adults, so nothing is edited on here. It's all as it goes. So we're all adults. There could be strong language. You never know what happens. We could also talk about things that might be a trigger. So I always suggest it's best to have a quick look at the transcript, see if it's something that fits with you. If there's anything that triggers you, maybe you should jump off now. So it's just a bit of a warning. The connection currency, what is it? So in our world of noise, hustle, doing things, I still believe, I'm an old school person, I still believe that real growth comes from deep connections, from meeting people who are like-minded, that you connect with, and on a deeper level. There's no right, wrong, polished answers. Everybody has a different answer to the same questions, and I love that. So I'm just really curious about what lights up business owners and what keeps them going. Some of us, let's admit it, some of us are growing quietly, some of us are tired, some of us are succeeding beyond our wildest dreams, and we still doubt ourselves with imposter syndrome and other things going on. And I'm hoping that I'm creating an aligned community that feels supported, connected, and empowered. And my wish to you is that you can all connect and collaborate on a deeper, more authentic and genuine way. It should never feel that on the connection currency, it should never feel that we're just shoving our business cards at you, that nobody will ever look at it. It should feel like it's somebody having a chat and you're getting to know them and you're getting to go, I want to do business with them, or I want to hang out with them and find out how they do their business. So with that in mind, I would like to introduce this week's lovely guest, and that is Olivia Jenkins. Welcome, Olivia.
Thank you. Excited to be here and have a chat with you.
Yeah, it's great. It's great that you said yes. You're somebody you would know. I'm not a stalker. But you
Stalkers,
are,
that's fine.
you are, I'm not a stalker. I don't have time to stalk, actually. It'd be fun if I did. But I've somebody who watched you come on to one of the platforms that I judge on, and I've watched your growth journey and just been in awe of how fantastic you are and how you connect with people and that. So I was really pleased when you said yes. And so some of the things that I asked three standard questions. Some of the things that I love to ask is, how did you get into business? How did it happen? Did you accidentally find out? Like one of my guests said, she had to create an ABN number and she knew she was off and running when somebody said, send me an invoice. Or did you plan for this? How did your business journey happen?
So I think my business journey is probably a little bit different to most. And this is something I probably didn't realize fully until later in life, when I started to have my own kids and think about childhood, as you make comparisons, thinking, oh, maybe it wasn't that normal. But essentially, my mother started a global skincare brand when I was 18 months old, and I watched from a very early age. My mum grew an incredible business that was an international success story. And so my days were spent doing things with my siblings, like labeling bottles of rosehip oil around the kitchen table, and packing boxes in the school holidays, and helping with warehouse moves, and going to the office in the school holidays to shred paper and wash dishes and all of those amazing things. So my journey to business really started as a child, and being exposed to things around the kitchen table, essentially, which has now turned into the boardroom table. And my entrepreneurial journey didn't start until mid 2019 though. So initially what I did was, broke out into the corporate world and did some great work with some great brands, really focused on building my career as a general manager. And then I was working with an incredible female founder called Tanya Walsh. You should have her on the podcast. She's amazing. And Tanya, we worked very hard in her business to do a business transformation and turnaround. So at the end of that, with two little boys in tow, because my two sons, Henry and Arch, were only 1 and 2 at the time, I decided to launch a consulting business and say goodbye to Tanya, which was really hard, but go out on my own and essentially do what I was doing in that role at scale for other brands as well. So that's how it all started. But realistically, things started for me back in childhood.
So you knew as a child what was going to be ahead of you as an entrepreneur, and you still went into that world. So that was very brave of
100%.
you,
Yeah.
especially with two small children. But I love that you took that step. So on days when it's hard and businesses, times get tough, things get hard. On
Mhm.
things that those things that are hard, what lights you up? What keeps you going in business?
Yeah, I think for me, essentially, one of the big reasons that I started my business beyond the background that I shared a moment ago is my kids. And so for me, I felt like my life didn't fully start until I became a mum. And there are two things I knew 100%. One, that I wanted to be a business owner one day, and two, that I wanted to be a mum. So I felt like my life was really complete when I had those two things come together. So when things get tough in business, my approach is to spend time with my family, to do things that fill up my cup. I show my dogs as well. It's another strange hobby that I have. So spending quality time with the family and with the dogs are the things that, calm my nervous system and make me feel really good. I think that there's a big, misconception that because I'm a business consultant, or if you've got a business coach or business advisor or an accountant, that we're immune from having bad days, or we're immune from going through things in business. And we're not. Things happen. We have bad days, we have circumstances that every business owner faces. I think just in our case, we often maybe have a better set of tools that we've got on hand and that we're very, accustomed to using. But ultimately, we still feel stress. We still go through bad times. We're not immune to those situations. So for me, I think it's really important to shine a light on that as well, in the same way that a psychologist or your therapist is also going to have a bad day or have
Yeah.
some trauma to unpack as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also have somebody who's been on with us or will be in an upcoming episode. And she talks about that exactly, that you
Yeah.
can go through trauma and things, and you've just got to find those things that keep you alive. And didn't you
Yeah.
tell me you were learning to fly or something too as
Yes.
well?
Yeah, I did that last year. So my husband and I took some time off the business. He's got his own business as well.
Mm.
And we did our pilot's license. So private pilot's license, not a CPL, a PPL, but essentially means we can fly any
Yeah.
aircraft anywhere in the country, so long as
Yeah.
it's not for commercial reasons. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a
Yeah.
really fun thing to do.
That's really cool. And I actually have a friend who has their own airline and you can hire planes.
Oh,
So,
amazing.
but he's pretty
Very
fussy about it.
appreciative.
On the Gold Coast, yeah, I'll
Yes.
hook you up.
Amazing.
Um, he loves
Yeah.
chatting to other pilots, and one of his daughters is a pilot too. So yeah.
Yeah. There are so many life skills that I learned, like beyond all of the different subjects that you learn when you're going through your PPL. You learn about the weather, for example, that you probably haven't learned about since school, and
Yeah.
cloud formations and all these amazing things. But the thing that really blew me away was the amount of synergies between flying a plane and running a business.
Mm.
There are so many things that crossed over, and I think my husband got a bit annoyed with me during the training sessions because we were deep in training with the tutor for hours and hours every day, and
Yeah.
I would bloat the sessions because I would be having all these light bulb moments about business and then wanting to talk through them in a session, and he would be like, can you just be quiet so we can get out of this faster, because you keep bringing it back to business topics and that's not what we're here to talk about. So I was really excited by all the
Yeah.
light bulb moments.
Yeah, I love the little light planes. We've flown with them since the early 80s. So
Mm-hmm.
it's been pretty cool. We flew over South Australia last year
Oh,
actually, and
did you?
out to
Amazing.
Lagoa. It was pretty
Yeah,
amazing.
it's
Yeah, yeah, I
beautiful.
love it. Good on you.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're out there doing your thing and you're
Mm-hmm.
busy, how are you connecting with people? Like how do you make those deeper connections happen?
Mm.
What's that meant with your journey? Do you have mentors or peers in your community, or how do you connect and make that happen for you so that you have that it's like flying a plane. You have that support team around you,
Yes.
because we can't always talk to our spouses, as you've said, about our business because they don't necessarily maybe get our business or get our passion for how things
Hmm.
align. That's the female brain going in all these different directions, and the male brain
Hmm.
going, I've just got this one thing I need to concentrate on. And
Yes.
that's, that's pretty wonderful about we can do these different things. So how do those people, I mean, I know myself, I have trusted people in business that we can
Mm.
bring up and really go nut out an issue, or you share something with them at a crazy hour on Messenger, or they share something with you that's just part of their day that's lit them
Yes.
up. So,
Yeah.
so how do you connect on those deeper levels and connect with people in that space?
Yeah. So I think when I was doing private consulting work, because that's how I started, was working one-on-one with clients and building really strong, deep, meaningful relationships with them. I got a lot of my connection from those relationships that I forged with clients. And I know for a lot of the clients that I've worked with, because essentially they never left and they stayed with me for such a long period of time, I knew their families. I knew, them as a husband-wife team. In a lot of cases, I knew their kids. We would spend time together on the weekends. I had clients come to my wedding, for example. So that really filled my cup, private consulting, because it's such a special seat to have in, at the table in somebody's business, and for them to trust you on that level as a trusted guide in their journey. So that for me was a big part of my world. When I launched the business advisory, which is my uh, newer venture, where essentially I've launched a strategic advisory for female consultants and service firms, so completely different niche to what I was doing before, that allowed me to work with women in a number of different ways. So rather than just being a one-on-one connection, I was able to put together a group of women with the same sets of values, same business type, and same goals. And that has been a really cup filling experience to be able to lead that group in Zoom settings, but
Yeah.
also we have client events as well where we bring them together. So that's
Mm,
been quite cup filling for connection. And then you also spoke about, personal side or mentors as well.
mm,
I've always been a big believer in having a mentor in the specific area that you need. So I've got a mentor more from a spiritual sense. I've got a mentor that's more consulting centric. So you have different mentors for different things. And I have always really nurtured those relationships that I've got with people that have had my back since day one and have been in my corner. So that's another angle. And then, of course, friends. I
yeah.
say to my kids all the time, if you can have one friend in life that's a true friend, that is all you need. You don't
Yeah.
need 50 acquaintances. You just need one or even two. If you can manage the admin for two friendships, that is perfect. So I'm
Yeah.
very, very fortunate. I've got great people around me, and I've got some friends that I've had for decades now that have seen me through all seasons of life, good,
Mm.
bad, ugly, and everything in between.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. And I love that. I've got friends too that go back to kindy, which is scary because that's a long time ago. And we
Sorry.
know a lot. We always say we've got the dirt on each other.
Oh yeah.
That's why we stay friends because we know
Yeah,
so much about each other.
that's right. There's too much dirt
We
there.
joke about that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's wonderful. And recently you came up to Brisbane, you did a bit of a road show
Hmm.
for my millionaire consultant. I
Yes.
noticed also you've got or you've just finished a 30 days of content in 60 minutes. So tell me
Yes.
what else, what have you got going on?
Yeah.
What have you got happening? What have you got coming up?
Yeah, so the big thing that we've commenced this year for funneling into the business advisory and getting the word out is the $1 Million Consultant Roadshow, where we caught up recently in Brisbane, and it's the first time I've ever done an in-person roadshow before. Or as my dad keeps correcting me, dad keeps saying it's not a roadshow because you didn't travel by car, so you can't say roadshow.
An air
Uh,
show?
I know he's so funny. So we did 4 cities in 5 days, and I guess the vision behind the workshop, so the $1 Million Consultant Workshop, is to change the statistics around female business owners and what they're able to achieve in terms of revenue targets. So, as I said in the workshop, and I'll repeat it here as well, around 33% or a third of Australian businesses are owned by women. but less than 2% of them on average will reach seven figures. So for me, that was the main goal. Was I have worked with women my entire career. I've grown up in a household with a female founder. I know that they're capable of achieving seven figures plus if they want to. They just need the right structure around them, the right strategy, the right business model, the right support. And that's ultimately what the vision was behind the roadshow, and why I'm so passionate about working with this sector.
Yeah. And I loved it when you mentioned that on the road show about the 2% of women in Australia that are millionaires. And I went, oh, wow. And I watched the light bulb go on with some of the women around me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I watched them do the exercise where you structured them out on basically, the profit, the net profit,
Mm-hmm.
and how you can magnify that.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of heard all of them saying, I'm not charging enough.
Yeah.
Like I'm madly looking for more clients where I should be just charging what I'm
Mm-hmm.
worth to the clients.
Yeah.
And that's that imposter syndrome that women have,
Yes.
where I know in business it took me a long time to go, yes, that's my worth. And it wasn't until because I stepped out of government into corporate. I kind of rolled from one into the next. And then I decided I wanted to do what I was doing for smaller businesses. And when I started pricing myself for smaller businesses, I was a bit scared it was too high. But then when I looked at it, it was half of what they were charging for me in corporate entities.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think I was charging a third when I started. I think I'm charging about half now.
Yeah.
But it takes a long time for you to go, yes, that's my worth. I don't know why we do it as females.
I, I think it's partially validation. I even face this in my journey as well. I remember I could tell you exactly where I was in the house when I had this conversation with my husband, and I was pricing my strategy session. So I had this 90-minute consultation that I launched with, and it was the feeder into my consulting offer. And it was 90 minutes on Zoom. You bring your top three problems in business. We, dissect them, put together an action plan, and that was the strategy session product. And I
Mhm.
said to my husband, "Oh, I'm thinking about pricing it at $297." And he's like, "Okay." And I said, "Well, do you think anyone will pay that?" And he's like, "Are you kidding? Yes, they will pay that, Liv. Like, it should be $2,000. What are you talking about?" But I still remember having such a big mental hurdle in my head of, is anyone actually going to book me for this? And
Mhm.
what I noticed throughout my journey, and again, it circles back to mentors, is that it was the price increases that I did were always directly after I'd been at an in-person business event or something where I had an identity upgrade, or through validation from somebody that was further ahead than me, or I perceived as a mentor, giving me validation that I could do it and I had permission to do it. And
Mhm.
that's why I feel the work that we do with clients as well is so important, because they need someone to back them when they're not backing themselves. They need someone to tap them on the shoulder and say, "Hey, you need to be charging more. You're delivering all of these outcomes. And what's the point in doing all of this work if at the end of the day you're working for free?"
Yeah, absolutely. And I've had clients where when I've worked with them and tried to convince them that they're not charging enough, I've said to them, well, just increase like they had a lot of clients, and I was like, let's just increase in some increments. And then
Mm-hmm.
when you see clients dropping off and you've got spare time, then we'll just flatten out and we'll
Yeah.
we'll sit at that price. And it's
Yes.
amazing. It's amazing how much you can increase. And I could
Mm.
see it was like all those women around me were having that aha moment. And I was trying to figure out, do I want more clients? Do I want less clients? You know, I was trying to figure out our structure around with consultants and things like that working with us.
Yeah.
But I could see all of them. And I thought they've all got that
They
potential
do.
to have a million
Brisbane
dollar business.
Yeah, Brisbane was really special. I loved the Brisbane event. It was just a really electric group, and it was such a beautiful space as well, which I think helped. But I reflected on the roadshow and why that was so special, because for me, it activated something in me. By the end of that roadshow experience, something was activated in me so strongly. It was like this fire had been lit within me. And I already identified as being someone that had a lot of energy and a lot of drive before, but what that roadshow did to me was I almost can't explain it in words. And my best explanation for it is I think for me it was the perfect uh, combination of a little bit of adrenaline from speaking,
Yeah.
oxytocin from being in the love bubble in the room and seeing all the connection and like these beautiful friendships form. We were there for 4.5 hours, but by the time the events finished, there were people on tables that seemed like they'd known each other for a lifetime. Like they just spilled their deepest, darkest desires and things. So that was really special. And for me, being able to see the third thing is that the instant validation, getting the instant feedback from the group, like what you said, of physically seeing somebody have a penny drop moment, make a decision in the room in real time was just the best experience.
Yeah, it was great. And like you touched so many of them and they were like, "Oh, I've got to share this with, like so and so." And yeah, it was a wonderful room. Like I usually use certain months of the year where I just get out and I network. And if there's time in my calendar, I work on my business, not in it. So I go to
Yes.
things that are offered. And when that came up and one of my team said, "Oh, you know Olivia, I've looked and you know her." And I'm like, "I know that name." And I looked and went, "Yes, I know her from Osmum, of course." And I looked and went, "Your journey has come so far." And I
Mm,
thought, wow, I loved what you were talking about. And I thought it was just different and innovative, but innovative in
yes.
a common sense way, that
Mm.
you could walk out of the room and apply it, which was fantastic.
Yes, love that. Well,
Yeah,
ultimately, my goal with it was to deliver all of the insights and the wisdom that I wish I had at the start of my consulting journey. And like I said in the room that day, a lot of the things that I shared in the Million Dollar Consultant Roadshow were things that I was sort of doing or thinking about at the time, but I didn't actually have the language for it. And it's so much easier when you have language to talk about things because it makes sense. All of the things that are sort of in your brain up here that you've got feelings around, but you haven't quite articulated yet, when
yeah,
you can actually channel those thoughts into language that you can use, it's so powerful and it makes the decision making process in business so much easier.
yeah, absolutely. And the project that you've just done
Yes.
online, the creating 30 days of content in 60 minutes, like that
Mm,
seems insane, but probably quite easily explained by you.
yes.
So what else have you got coming up? Have you got more of
Yeah.
that coming up? What's sort
Yes.
of happening there? I'll
So,
get your links as well,
yeah,
and
for sure.
I'll share them so everyone can follow
Mhm.
you, and see what you're doing. And if they missed out on that, um, 30 days of content in 60 minutes, they might want to start following you.
Yes, yes, come over here and we'll help you. So essentially, we have been running a monthly workshop every month for probably the last 18 months or so since the business advisory launched. And we have a free workshop that happens every month. So the workshop topic changes at the moment. The topic is 60-minute content system for consultants. So if you are inconsistent on social media or you're getting posts up, but there's no sort of rhyme or reason or strategy and it's not delivering you the results, then that's a really great workshop to attend. And ultimately, what it solves is you having an empty pipeline because you got busy with client work here, your marketing dropped off as a result of being busy with clients, and then you've got no leads because your pipeline's not full due to lack of marketing. And it's a huge problem for consultants because they get busy like most service providers and then all the attention goes on clients, of course, but then their own marketing drops off. And so they're constantly starting and stopping, starting and stopping. So the 60-minute content system is basically one rough idea is capable of giving you a full 30 days worth of content that's optimized for conversions. And
Mm,
that's the biggest difference. We don't want to only go after engagement because if we're trying to go viral, that's great. But it
mm,
could end up being that you filled a waiting room full of people that don't have any intention to buy from you. So let's get the people in the waiting room that do want to buy and are your right fit clients and ready to go so that your content can actually deliver you the results that you're looking for instead of just confusion. So
yeah.
we'll likely run that again in May, so next month, and then we'll have our next roadshow kicking off for the Million Dollar Consultant. So the exact same format and delivery that you went through in Brisbane, we'll be kicking that off again in June. So
Oh, wonderful. Yeah,
yes,
great. I've recommended that to so many, and I know so many that I know are watching you now. Like they're like,
yes, that's
"Oh,
so
okay, I
good.
need to
Thank
check
you.
her out."
Yeah.
Yeah, and funnily enough, I've had this conversation with some of them that I work with a lot in different sectors, and I have a lot of people in social media
Mm-hmm.
management that get funding for their clients, or I get funding for them, depending on what they need. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I work with them on different things, and they're some of the worst. It's like the painter
Mm-hmm.
with the unpainted
Oh,
house, you
for
know.
sure. Yep.
They're and I'm always saying to them, look for new things, look for ways that other people are doing things, then
Yeah.
you can deliver those and really deliver them through to your clients. And
Mm-hmm.
everything's changing as well because and I had this discussion recently with a web designer that SEO is still there, but it's dying with AEO and GEO now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we've all got to change it up a little bit so that when people are looking for us, they aren't necessarily looking on Google anymore. They're looking on
Yeah.
any of the other AI search engines that are
Mm-hmm.
scraping from everywhere. So you do need to be in that space so that you can be
Mm-hmm.
picked up in all those places. Yeah.
For sure. It's really interesting. I was actually doing some keyword research the other day for my industry and having a look at, what we're tracking for and what competitors are tracking for. And one thing that I found really interesting was that there's been a huge decline in searches for business coaches and business coaching programs and things like that. And I actually was having a chat to one of my friends that's in my network. He has a coaching business. And I mentioned it to him. And I said, I think what's happening is a lot of people are turning to AI now for business advice. And so they're getting feedback from Claude or ChatGPT. But I said the irony in it all is what we're seeing with clients, and particularly new clients coming in, is that a big selling point for them coming into the business advisory is the decision making partner, because they've gone backwards and forwards into a black hole with ChatGPT about something, or Chat has said, this is the thing that you need to do, and then the clients challenged it and said, well, hang on a second, that doesn't make sense because of this. And then it's like, oh, actually no, this is the thing that we need to do, it's this now. And so
Yeah.
they end up being really confused because
Mm.
they're already in decision fatigue, and then AI is giving them 55,000 different conflicting, contradicting options. So it is interesting. I definitely think that AI is going to, continue to change the landscape for businesses, and it doesn't matter what industry you're in. We're all in the same boat with it. And so, yeah, as much as you can learn about it and being on the front foot, the greater you can set yourself up for success and getting through this next chapter.
Yeah, and that's true. And sometimes with my uni students at QT, I get them to pit the different ones like Chat against Claude and go, well, Claude
Mm-hmm.
said this. They can get quite nasty. Um,
Yeah,
and
competitive.
they argue and competitive backwards and forwards. But the other thing, and like you say with business coaches, there's nothing like owning and running your own businesses to
Mm,
know what things work and what things
yeah.
fail. And that can only be a tool in giving you ideas. But do you
Yeah.
want to actually and this will be where business coaches will be able to level up. Do you
Mm,
want a business coach that's done those things and knows where to put your money and
mm-hmm.
what works? Or do you just want to try all these suggestions and keep putting your money there and just keep
Yeah.
throwing money at it to see if it's going to work? And then
Yeah.
who's there's no liability around that. There's no, well, my business coach has done this, gone there, blazed that trail and says, don't do that. That just doesn't work. It's like when we talk about, and a lot of people are still chasing that, the viral and the reach.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like you say, you've got a waiting room of a huge amount of people, and a small percentage of those are going to be your warm leads that are going to buy from you. Why
Yeah.
not just fill your room with a couple of hundred warm leads that are going to
Yeah.
buy from you and forget about the rest? And, like we can still, and it still happens, buy followers and all the rest of it, and people are still doing that. But the mistakes that they make, and we know as business owners by doing that, the mistakes that they're making is their audience is too wide and it's
Mm-hmm.
not niched. And then we have the algorithm problems where it's throwing them throwing them people. So like is finding like, and we all know
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
it's throwing them like people that aren't going to convert.
Yes.
And then they get
It's
into that big mess. Whereas a business coach can look at it and figure out a strategy straight up. And then if you wanted to use a tool like AI to bring it down to point form, then you could do
yes.
that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is where the plane examples or the flying examples come up. I think about the role that, I have with clients. It's understanding where they want to go, what's the destination, and then mapping the flight path with them to
Mm,
say, we can go this way or we can go that way. Do you want the scenic route? Do you want the most direct path? Do you want, a path with a little bit of risk? We're going to fly through a bit of bad weather here. Are you up for that? Are you not up for that? And mapping that plan out so it gives them crystal clear clarity around, if that's the destination, this is exactly where we're going and what the flight path looks like, and
mm,
then holding them accountable to that flight path. So if they
mm,
start to veer off track, tapping them on the shoulder and saying, hey, your flight path is over here. We're getting distracted by a bright, shiny object. Let's
mm.
get back onto the right path. Otherwise, we're going to waste fuel. We're going to waste resources. And that's going to take us time to get, back onto the right course again. So these were all the things that as we were learning about flight paths and things, I'm like, oh, there's so much juice
Yeah.
here that could be used for business analogies.
Yeah, and when you were at the Million Dollar Consultant Roadshow in Brisbane, you
Yeah.
talked about that having that accountability, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
like I love AI, I love VR, I love all those things. I'm a really tech person, but they don't bring you accountability. Whereas if you've got a business coach, they're you're not allowing somebody else to fly your plane. You're not allowing a machine to fly your plane. You've got a real
Mm-hmm.
person there flying your plane,
Yeah.
that's going, hey, are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, are you doing this? Whereas those AI, while they're great tools, won't be checking in on what you, won't giving you inspirational things, motivation, won't be co-piloting.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think really good business coaches will be able to navigate, let's say for a better
Mm-hmm.
word, their way
Yeah.
through it all. And it'll be the business coaches that have never had a business that will be the ones that'll drop off.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting times for me. I look at the season that we're in right now with what's happening in the world and even AI to a certain degree through a similar lens to the global pandemic. And I had a similar conversation with private clients inside TBA recently, where I was saying the only thing that matters when you're building your business is that you're focused on delivering great results for your clients and you're focused on building great relationships with your clients.
Yeah.
If you can deliver results and you can foster a strong relationship with your clients, you will retain them. And if
Mm,
you can get retention, then you can get referrals. It's how I built my business. I didn't rely on advertising at all because I had a business model that was a smaller client roster, higher retainer. But my point is the ones that will last the distance are the ones that are consistently delivering strong results and maintain solid relationships because we need those two pieces in order to have retention.
yeah, for sure. And I mean, in my business now and in any other business that I've owned as well along the way, we have never done any advertising whatsoever. We
Mm-hmm.
have just had those strong, loyal clients that we have delivered for, done what was expected and some. And they are always only too happy to go, you need to use them. And that word of mouth through socials, that you can't buy that kind of
Mm.
advertising.
Yeah, it's the greatest compliment. And, look, there's certainly times and stages and goals that require advertising to scale, and it's a great pathway at the right time for the right business. But I think context is key. And this is probably one of my biggest things working in this space and having a business and advisory is I get so frustrated with the generic advice that I see because it's a lot of the time it's well intended, but the person could receive that as being the right information for them in their business model, in their industry at that time. And it's just not because there's so much context that's needed in order to be able to understand, is that actually the right thing for me? And more important, is it the right time to install that or make that decision in my business? So context it's a very beautiful, important thing.
and that's a human knowledge thing, not
Correct.
not a robot knowledge thing. It's been
Yes.
wonderful having you, Olivia. I know you're short on time and I don't want to hold you up, but it's been wonderful having you, and I would highly recommend coming along to your roadshow and everyone following you. There
Thank
was I couldn't believe it was only like 4 hours. I felt like we were there. The amount of takeaways that I could share with consultants and any of my clients, in that you need to go to this because there's just so much you can get out of it. I've never gone to something, even a whole day long thing, where I've gotten so much out of it. And thank you very much for that. It was wonderful, and I
you.
do hope you got a lot back out of it yourself, because you deserve that. Yeah. So
Thank you.
thank you for coming.
Amazing.
And I look forward to sharing you with my audience.
Thanks so much. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having me.
Thanks. Bye.